Well, tell us about some of your experiences in the classroom.
In the classroom, I love career education because it's something that those kids use all the time. I love that. All right, I enjoyed it. It was a great class. We worked on job interviews. Even back then, I've had people say, you know, when you interviewed us out in the hall, that was great, you know, blah, blah. And I loved it. And I had the class was really diverse in terms of academic abilities.
Now, this is after the new high school was built out north of town? Or were you still in the old?
I was in the new high school.
You was in the new high school, okay.
Now, do you want to hear a funny story?
Well, sure.
All right. I can't believe I'm going to tell you this story, but it's the truth. Okay.
Now you have to, so go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Back in those days, and I believe in this, we had a prayer breakfast every Friday before a game, Friday mornings. We'd meet at the local churches. Whoever would like to host a prayer breakfast would feed the players, and they'd have a short devotional.
Now, this was on Friday morning?
Yes, sir.
Game day.
Game day.
Okay.
And then we'd go to school. And we'd rocked along, and it was about the 7th game of the year. Now, this is kind of a confession.
All right.
We're rocking along the 7th game of the year. We're getting ready to go down to Tahlequah. And we'd take two charters. No, we'd take a charter. No, we'd take two charters down there. And I thought, God, we're getting kind of cocky. We need some motivation. So I hired old Paul Fowler and our staff, and I told Paul.
Paul's assistant.
Paul was the assistant, fresh out of OSU. And I said, Paul, and none of the other coaches knew this. I said, I want you to go out to TG&Y and buy me some orange paint. He said, okay. And I said, don't say anything to any of the other coaches. And he said, well, Pixley's. And I said, I don't want you to get it at Pixley's. You go to TG&Y.
TG&Y was at Neymar at the time.
Yeah. And he said, okay, I can do that. So, and back that time, he wasn't married and he had a motorcycle. Well, we lived in Oakwood, 1020 East 13th in Oakwood. Dr. Smith had lived there. And out in our garage were these bright orange curtains. So I took one of those curtains, half of it, and made a Tahlequah Tiger flag out of it.
Should point out now that Tahlequah's colors are orange.
Yeah, they're orange.
Orange and black, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had the black, and I mean, hey, I made it. It looked just like Texas Tech, only it was Tahlequah Tigers. And I told Fowler, I said, hey, come get me about midnight. So he had a motorcycle. He drives that motorcycle over to my house about midnight. I've got this flag, and we drive up to Lanto Field. Back then, they had the practice field over here on this side, and I mean, hey, they didn't have all the fancy fencing.
Yeah, you just walk on the field back then.
Oh yeah, but we rode that motorcycle out to where the practice field is, and we're out there, and we'd kind of laid it on its side, and so hey, we went all across the back of the stadium, and on those red doors that were there, put the zebras are a joke in orange paint, and put "Come on down." You know, this was on a Thursday night before the Friday breakfast. Timing is everything.
Oh, yes.
Just like if you're going to run a special play, timing is everything. So we wanted to do it so that Tahlequah wouldn't have time to reciprocate, you know. And and so we did that. We painted up all the doors with bright orange paint on the red doors and, you know, made some comments. About this time, a big old searchlight comes on. There's police car driving through the parking lot, and he's spanning that light and said, hurry, Fowler, get to the coach's office. We locked ourselves in the coach's office and waited until that car, we saw the police car drive on down the street. So then we got the flag, and I said, hey, let's go on around to the front of the school. So he pulls me and him on that motorcycle. I'm sure that was a look. And we hoist that flag up to the top of the deal there. And I said, all right, take me home. All right, all that was about 12 to 1 o'clock Thursday night. All right. I go to that prayer breakfast next morning. It was at the Presbyterian Church. Well, hey, I come in there, and Mike Mober was on my staff. And as soon as I come in that back door, Mike Mober goes, Coach Flood, have you seen what Tahlequah did to our stadium? And I said, what? He says, have you seen how they sabotaged our stadium? And I go, well, now don't be judgmental. And I said, no. And he goes, oh. He said, you should see it. You can't wait until you see it. And he said, Dad's already called the Activity Association. They're going to get behind this. He's already called Tahlequah Administration Office, and they said they had nothing to do with it, and they didn't have any knowledge of it. But Dad has gone through the Activities Association. There's going to be a full investigation of this. And my heart is just going, a thump. And I'm thinking, Alger, you overdid it. You overdid it. And so I leave there, and I'm driving this little blue and white Pinto, and I'm thinking, Wayne Brown had the band out on the band field practicing on Friday morning on real grass, and I loved Wayne Brown. But anyway, they're out there practicing, and I'm thinking, I got to go by the coach's office. I may have left some evidence as far as an orange paint can or rag. So sure enough, I go there, unlock the door. They're out there marching. I get the can of paint and the brush, and I take it out, put it under the Pinto. Now I'm driving, and my heart is beating 90 to nothing. I'm thinking, why did you do this? And I'm pulling up to the high school, and I look, and that Tahlequah flag is just out there going like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I got to go in, and my office was right next door to Ken McCormick's office. And
now, Ken was still the high school principal.
He was the principal, yes, sir.
And we should say that Mike Mobra's dad, Frank Mobra,
was the athletic director.
Yes,
sir.
And former football coach
Yes,
before
sir.
Coker.
Yes.
So
Frank Mobra coached me in the Oil Bowl down in Wichita Falls, Texas. Yeah. So yeah, those were all the players.
Yeah.
And so so I come into the school, and I mean, my heart, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And so I'm in the teacher's lounge getting me a cup of coffee to try to relax. And
still haven't admitted it to anybody.
No, oh no.
Okay.
And so I'm there, and I'm in the lounge, and Ken McCormick goes, Coach Flood, come here. So I come in there, and he said, have a seat. And there used to be a custodian there named Henry. And he said, Henry, go out there and pull that flag off that flagpole and bring it in here to this office. And oh my gosh, I'm about to have a coronary right there in his deal. And Henry brings that flag in there and lays it on his desk. And he goes, here you go. And he holds that up and he says, look what they did here to our school. And he said, this just burns me. And he said, I know Frank's upset about it, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Anyway, and so he goes, Coach Flood, and we didn't have a big gym. So we had our pep assemblies in that little square thing right there in the middle of the H Hall of the high school. And he said, Coach Floyd, you need to hold that flag up and tell them we're going to kick your tail. And I'm trying to downplay it. And I go, Mr. McCormick, I said, there's such a thing as getting your team too hyped up. I don't know. And he said, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to hold the flag up. And I'm like, I'll do it. And so I take that out there. We had the pep assembly. Wayne's got the band over there. They're cranked up. And I said, hey, we're going to go play the Tahlequah Tigers. They put a flag on our pole, bam, and all of this. And so on Friday afternoon, before we left on an out-of-town road trip, we'd also have a pregame meal. So we had the pregame meal. When we came back, the two charters are behind the stadium there for us to load up and go down to Tahlequah. And hey, somebody's come along on those doors and with white paint put, we're coming down, you're going to die, and all this other stuff. And we go down there, and I mean, hey, I'm so glad to get on the road, get in the bus, and get away from Claremore for a game. And but I'd already vowed to myself, I'm never doing this again. And
now Tahlequah had heard all this, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
They
probably. I mean, obviously somebody did for them to mark the doors like they did. But anyway, we go down there. And there's some of the things that I don't remember, but I can remember this. We lined Kenny Joe Kennard up at tight end. Kenny Joe Kennard up at tight end, faked a little dive play, passed to him, scored a touchdown. We ended up beating Tahlequah. I can't remember the score exactly.
I don't remember
but
either.
I do remember I'm not doing something like that again. Now,
I can't believe you admitted it after all these years. I really can't.
well, the cat's out of the bag because Dr. Bill used to come up to me and goes, do you think it's kind of odd that they just painted orange on the red doors and nowhere else on the building? And I go, Dr. Bill, you know, I hadn't even gone there with that thought. And anyway, when I was a principal, he was coming around. He was working for Oklahoma Math and Education Schools, and he was recruiting. And he came by and was visiting me at my office over in Owasso, and he was talking. We were reminiscing a little bit, and he goes, you know, Dr. Bill, there's something I need to get off my chest. And he said, what's that? And I said, you know how you asked me about the doors? And I said I didn't really know. And I said, that wasn't the truth. I said, that was me. And he said, I knew it. I knew you were the one. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Good times.
Good times.